Oh, a bit later recording this. Good evening, I hope everyone's doing well. Now, there's a lot to talk about as far as reform is concerned, because there was a lot that went on as far as the Birmingham Arena is concerned. One of those things that's just going to stick out as one of the main highlights is the fact that Clown World and ex-Paz or expatriate, whatever you want to call him, 49, ended up getting kicked out of the Reform Conference. Now, I did try and record this beforehand, but I didn't do any research. So I thought, no, you know what, I'll take the few minutes, see what's going on, and thank goodness I did. Because those two, last time I checked the video, did nothing wrong. Hell, Paz was even trying to film in the arena, and basically, he shut off the film when he was told to, and then, basically, some goon came up to him after they went, yeah, that's him. Basically, they were like, he's a threat, as in, he's going to go in and film stuff, and then they kicked Paz 49 out. All this whilst being in the presence of many people who were lining up for photos with Richard That Lot Tice and Lee Anderson. So it was a classic case of rules for them and one other rule for you, basically. And now that Paz has put this out there, and I will be linking that video in the description below, this isn't going to be a good look for Reform, is it? A former soldier in the army, and yet these guys treat him like this. Other people who are supporting Reform and Richard Tice and that lot, just to give them a taste of their own medicine, they're all willing to let them record and take photos and all that. But watch out for that ex-Paz 49, watch out for that former soldier. He might just Roger us with the Duke of York. Honestly, it's a really pathetic look for Reform, isn't it? Oh, actually, did I call them a Reform Party? Sorry, I meant the Conform Party. Honestly, I never understood that, to be honest. I never understood. Oh, hey, buddy! You doing all right? Good. Yeah, that's what I meant when I said I started a bit later, but it's honestly sad to see that Reform have these two-tier standards, if you will, of who's allowed to be in there to record and who isn't. Now, if we ended up seeing the BBC or the mainstream media who like to spin things, as we all know, or some other journalist or person like, oh, what's his name? Not Badnock, Femi, I can't remember his fucking surname, Femi. Almost sounds like I'm about to say femboy, doesn't it? Anyway, if it was somebody like him, then yeah, I could understand him kicking him out, because obviously he's just somebody who's like a race baiter akin to Narinder Kaur. Or maybe I was right first time. This is just going to serve as another nail in the coffin for Reform. The Conform Party. They keep alienating people. They keep proving to us that they're not on the side of the British people, but rather they're on the side of the so-called religion of peace. They are proving that they are part of the Uni Party, rather than a separate party who wants to defeat the establishment. There was also apparently some idiot who decided it was a bright idea to, with the Reform banner and what have you, they decided to put on it that Reform will fix it. I mean, I swear my IQ is dropping by the second and by the dozen at this point. Reform will fix it? I want to know what drugs the guy who designed that was on right now, because I'd like some. Because you know what the first thing that comes to my mind is? Jim will fix it. Yeah, Jim will fix it. Yeah, and all the king's soldiers and all the king's men couldn't put poor old boy together again, or something like that. Put the poor old boy together, or you know what I mean. Basically, that was an extremely poor decision. Oh man, like, I am still losing IQ here. What the fuck? You know, that's how it makes me feel right now. But moving on from that terrible PO decision, or whatever it is, we also come to what Nigel Farage has said, which is basically, he has said the usual, every single illegal that comes here illegally will be deported. And I will ask the question, Nigel Farage, since I suspect I won't be able to do it in one of your conferences. What about the people that are already here? What about the people who have come over from their third world shitholes to turn our country into a third world shithole? Or the foreign nationals who basically want to come over here and commit crime? You know what the best analogy of this is? Well, the bus is coming. No, that's not the analogy. But basically what's happening is we have got a situation where the country is effectively suffering from an amputated arm. And here's Nigel Farage trying to fix it with a plaster. Or if surgery is a bit much for you, how about an even simpler term? How about you've got a bath full of water and you're trying to stop the water from coming out? Think about it. What Nigel was doing is effectively he's turning off the tap. But that doesn't solve the water that's already in the bath. In order to drain the bath, you have to pull the plug out. And watch 20 years of my life go to waste. Anyway, that's all you need to think about right now. If you want to drain the bath, turning off the tap is only going to stop more water getting in. In order to fully stop it, you have to pull out the plug in order to get rid of the swamp, as it were. And what we need to do is effectively drain the swamp. We need to drain the bathtub. Unless you do that, you're not solving the problem of this illegal immigration issue, quite frankly. That sun has been really obnoxious today. But that's what you need to do. You need to basically drain the bath, drain the swamp, take out the trash, metaphorically speaking. With him saying, oh, we'll deport all the people that come over here illegally, he is effectively ruling out the possibility of deporting all the people that have come over here already. So if he gets into power 5 years later, let's say, I don't know, for the sakes of argument, 500,000 people come over here, and it turns out they're all illegal, but Nigel's only worried about the ones coming in, that's another 500,000 people that we've got to worry about that we can't do anything about, because we voted reform. That's the thing. People need to challenge this with Nigel Farage. Sorry, Nigel Farage. Or again, maybe I was right first time. People need to challenge this with him, because he's not making it clear the whole context behind it. All he's saying is, all the people come here will be deported. Whereas people like Nick Tenconi and a lot of the indigenous British people want to deport all the people that have entered this country illegally, including the ones who've done it in the past, and then he wants to find all the foreign criminals that are in this country and deport them as well. Whereas Nigel was only concerned about the ones that illegally come in if he gets into power. There's a reason I've said that reform are not the answer, and I'm explaining another point as to why that is. Nigel, I've already said loads of things about him. I've already mentioned how much of a backstabber he is, how much of a slanderous wanker that he is as far as Tommy Robinson and the indigenous people are concerned. But unfortunately, there are still people who still think that Nigel Farage, or Nigel Farage, is our best hope. Like I said, he's only stopping the water getting in. He's not draining the water out of the bathtub. And what this comes down to is this is effectively Nigel Farage has become the very thing he swore to fight against. What was that saying from Friedrich Nietzsche? Nigel can sit there all he wants and say, oh, he's going to do something about this. But realistically, he's not going to fix the core problem. Remember the statistics I mentioned. The fact that foreign nationals are 71% more likely than British nationals to be convicted on S crimes, with Afghanis and Eritreans 20 times more likely. Scary, isn't it? And yet Nigel Farage doesn't want to deport all the illegals that are currently residing in this country, whereas Nick Tenconi does, which is why I've been repeatedly saying you need to get behind UKIP. And to anybody who wants to sit there and say, oh, don't do that, you'll split the vote, Nigel's our only hope. Well, here's a question for you. If Nigel's our only hope, how far down the shithole have we gone? Because that's effectively what it boils down to. If we're willing to accept shit as an acceptable standard for this country, what hope has this country got, quite frankly? To vote for Nigel at best, is a plaster to fix a amputated arm. At best, it is a minor fix. At worst, he'll do less than nothing. Oh, yeah. I mean, Nigel has basically said, if we alienate the Islamic vote, we'll lose. That's basically what he's been saying. But that's not true, because that's libertarian apathy kicking in. That is apathy of, oh, we're already doomed. Oh, we can't do anything about it. Of course we bloody can. We start holding those people who practice extremist Islam to account. People who practice the teachings of Sunni Islam, hold them to account. Anybody who's sitting there saying that it's perfectly okay to take white women as slaves, people who think it's okay for Terrys to come along and drive cars into people or go around stabbing everyone, no, it's not okay. And I think a lot of people want that to change. The way you have to look at this is we are strong enough to deal with just about anything. We've got to believe in ourselves. We have got to believe in ourselves. But Nigel ISNT does not believe in us, just like all the mainstream politicians do. Thank you. They don't believe that we're strong enough. They don't believe that we're capable. This is the same defeatist attitude that a lot of the Ramonas had during Brexit. This is the same attitude they had when they thought that we need to be shackled to the EU, paying £55 million a day gross to a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Brussels who didn't sign off their accounts for 20 plus fucking years. A bunch of people who were saying that it's unequivocally unacceptable for us to basically start deploying these people, and still do to this day, because we're still attached to the ECHR, who allow loads of illegals, a lot of the scummiest people on this planet, to stay in our country because of human rights. And I can tell you right now, if me or Nick Tenconi were Prime Minister of this country, the last thing these scumbags would be doing is staying in our country. No chance. You'd sooner see me go on an all-salad diet. And here's something in other news. Families are now going to be £1,100 worse off in April because of the rising energy bills. But Keir the traitor Starmer wants to say, oh, he's tackling illegal immigration to the tune that he sent 28,000 back. Obviously ignoring the fact that we've got 1.1 million illegal immigrants at least, and I'm probably lowballing it, that have already come to this country. Nope. And yes, I am unfortunately stroke number 1, walking under the influence of Lucozade. Yes, well fortunately, there'll be no acts of daylight knobbery this time. Anyway, back on point. The thing is, Nigel Farage is not going to fix this immigration issue. Certainly not reform anyway, that's for sure. The way I see it is, if you had your leg cut off, you wouldn't put a ribbon on it and hope for the best. You'd seek a surgeon, you'd seek to stop the bleeding, and then see about where it goes from there. That's the thing. There are some things that you do need to be gentle over, you do need to be cautious over, and a good example of that is something that goes boom, that you need to disarm. You do have to be cautious, because obviously one mistake and everyone's going to get offed. But there are also things that you have to be robust about. You have to be aggressive. Like, the way I slice it, illegal immigration is one of those things where instead of handling it with kid gloves, you need to kick the bloody door off. But I will go back to that question I asked again. If Nigel Farage truly is our only hope, then how desperate have things become, really, if he's our only hope? The way I look at it, if he's our only hope, then I dread to think what the alternative is, quite frankly. No, the real truth, which a lot of reform fanatics are not going to want to accept, is the fact that Nick Tenconi is offering a solution for our hardcore immigration issue. Like I said, sometimes instead of handling things with kid gloves, sometimes you do need to kick the door down. That's the way to look at it. Sometimes you do have to kick the door off its hinges. That's the way I look at it. And this is one of those times. We need gunboats along the shore. We need the army pulled in. We need them to search out and weed out all the illegals and put them back on the next plane or the next boat, or hell, I'll even fucking strap a jetpack on them if I have to. And basically, we need to send them back off to whatever country they've come from. Surely, if these people were fleeing war, surely they'd seek shelter in the first safe country they get to, rather than all of them swan dive off to Britain. Sorry. Oh, fucking hell. That's what you get when you have pot noodles in the morning. Anyway, we need to do this robustly. We can't do this with a sugar-coated way or with kid gloves. We need to find them, root them out, and send them back. Because we, as it is, are a small island bursting at the seams. We are an island that cannot handle this influx. And this is done by design, not by accident. Keir the traitor Starmer, and of course all the other members of the nonce party, Labour Party, or yet again, maybe I was right first time, as well as of course the Tories and the Lib Democrats, or anti-democrats, or whatever you want to call them, they are all partly responsible for this massive influx that's come into this country. They are the ones responsible for trying to turn our country into a third world shithole. Like I said before, I can't wholly blame the illegal immigrants coming over here, as they just want a slice of the best life. And who can blame them? We are supposed to be the greatest country in the world, the way I look at it. We're supposed to be the best of the best. And right now, we are the best of the best, all right? We're at best of the best of making our own citizens second-class citizens and rolling out the red carpet for all the illegals, the foreign invaders and what have you, to live up luxury in their 4- and 5-star hotels while being armed to the teeth with guns, knives and what have you, ready to invade us and take over. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. Yet if you have the audacity to call it out for what it is, you get called a racist. You get called far right. You get called a thug. You get called a fascist. When all it is just another name tag, another badge of honour to wear, because they've desensitized the meaning of those words. When somebody calls you a fascist, rather than it being associated with an undesirable smell, as that's basically what they planned it to be. Rather than it being like, oh, I don't want to be near him, it's more along the lines of, ha, look, he called me a fascist. Ha ha, look at me, I'm doing something right in my life. Or something like that. Or they look at it and they think, he called me a fascist. Oh no. Anyway, like, you can't make this up. They call us a fascist, they call us Islamophobes, and the words have about as much power as a pint of lemon squash, quite frankly. And for the record, I don't like fizzy drinks. Yes, I'm as sober as a judge, don't like fizzies, and I drink more of these than I can keep count of. But I digress, this isn't about what I drink. What this boils down to is Nigel ISNT has become part of the libertarian apathy problem that this country has. He is part of the problem. He is not the only hope. He is not the only solution. He is part of the problem. That is the cold, bitter truth. Because any man who's willing to just roll over while Islam takes over, or while these illegal immigrants turn our country and our cultures into shitholes, is not a leader. At best, that is someone who is a coward. At worst, that is someone who is a liability. That's what Nigel ISNT has become. He's become a liability. He has effectively become as useful as a chocolate fireguard. I know it's going to upset the hardcore reform fans, the conform fans, but that's the truth of the matter. If Nigel Farage truly was our hope, he would have been much tougher on illegal immigration. He would be saying, anyone that's come over here illegally over the last 20 years, we're sending you back. I reckon if he'd said something like that, if he had said, we will deport every single illegal that's here, we will get rid of every single illegal criminal that is here, and if he actually apologised for the libelous slander towards his voters, and of course, more importantly, Tommy Robinson and Rupert Lowe, he could patch up relationships with everyone, just like that. But the truth is, he won't. The truth is, he has too much pride. He has too much pride in himself. He prides himself on being the Messiah. And he doesn't want that false little kingdom of his to fall apart. That's what it boils down to. He is effectively very happy being Mohammed Ziyad Yusuf's lapdog, basically. He is happy being Zia Yusuf's little bitch, to put it simply. And again, the reformers are not going to like the way I say that. But that is effectively what Nigel is. He came down hard before on the Islamic demographic. He was categorically saying that there are loads of Muslim people, or rather Islamic people, who were basically filled with hatred towards our country. All of a sudden, now with Zia Yusuf as one of the chairmen of Conform, he speaks not a word of it. Actually, I should have done this first. Anyway, back on. The point is, Nigel went completely silent on this. That's not the sign of a leader. And the way I look at it, more and more people are coming out in the general public saying, we don't want just them gone, we want all of them gone. We want all of the illegals gone. We want all of the foreign criminals gone. Not just, oh, let's deport everyone that comes over here when you take over, Nigel ISNT. That's not what they want. They want a robust solution. We have been walked over like a doormat for far too fucking long, quite frankly. And people have had enough of it. They do not take kindly to their generosity basically being taken and spat in their faces, put simply. That's what it boils down to. We don't like that shit. We want it to end. We want these illegals gone. Now, that is not to say that any foreign national that's come over here and has integrated with society and isn't illegally coming into this country or committing crime in this country is basically going to get kicked out as well. No, we want to keep the people who do assimilate with society because they've done what the whole purpose of migration legally is all about. Whereas the people that are coming over that sit there and they throw their passports on the fire and let them burn and then cross over and be like, I have no passport. But they seem to conveniently have a phone and a GPS that tells them where the fuck to go, don't they? Wankers. But yet again, the mainstream media are not going to tell you this. But Nigel ISNT thinks that after the 5 years that go by, and let's say he does succeed and gets into power, the people that come over in the last or the next 5 years, he's just going to say, oh, well, you guys are shit out of luck, we're not deporting them. Sticking a middle finger up, effectively, at all of us. Now, I don't know about you, that doesn't sound like a leader to me. That does not sound like a leader we need. We need a leader with fire in his belly. We need a person who has the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case, both, to be able to sit there and make those hard decisions and not give a fuck what everyone else thinks about them. That's the thing. We need people who have the courage to stand behind their convictions. And I'm not talking about the last time I stole a club bar at Asda. I am talking about the conviction to stand behind your beliefs and not give a shit about the mainstream media or what other people think of you. Because the thing is, you can please some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but you'll never get all of the people all of the time. That's the way to look at it. You will have people who will flock in their hundreds of thousands to support you. You will have a group of people who think you're a wanker, and you'll have another group who are undecided. It is your job to make sure you have most of those people willing to give you their vote. And Nigel Farage has done a very good job of the polar opposite. That undecided group of people, and even people who are loyal to him, he's now shoving them over into the group of, well, this guy's a wanker, isn't he? That's effectively what Farage has done to his own Conform party. And it's sad to see. And that quote that I actually forgot to mention, what was it from Friedrich Nietzsche? Be careful that when you are fighting monsters, that you do not become a monster yourself. For if you gaze long enough into the abyss will return that gaze back to you. Or something to that effect. Nigel has become the very thing he swore to stand against. He might still be a person who wants to deport illegals, but he has become part of the establishment. When fighting the establishment, he has become the establishment. That's what it boils down to, folks. He has become part of the problem. I can't stress this enough. It's a shame because, as I've said before, I look at Nigel and I thought that guy could be Prime Minister 5, 6 years ago. Now, oh my God, he better not be Prime Minister now, is now what I'm thinking. Because all that'll be is basically like if you put 4 John Smiths into the battlefield and asked them to fight each other to the death. In one corner you've got John Smith. In this corner you have John Smith. In that corner you have John Smith. And in that corner you have John Smith. They're going to battle it out 10 minutes later. And the winner is John Smith. That's what it boils down to. Okay, this particular John Smith does actually want to do something about some of the immigration, I grant, but he has decided to bend over backwards for Islam. Maybe not to the tune that Keir the traitor Starmer has, because obviously he's a sectarianist bastard and will do everything he can to make sure that he protects the Islamic community over his own indigenous people, which is the mainstream media's worst nightmare if that ever came to fruition, that's what he really was doing. Because the mainstream media wouldn't want you to hear about this. But as far as reform, the bottom line is this. Nigel's not going to fix the migration issue. Nigel is not going to fix a lot of the country's issues. He is going to bend over backwards and allow Sharia law to take over. And last time I checked, this is a Christian country. As in the Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. Yes, I know, I should stop using the Lord's name in vain. And no, I can't go to Jesus Christ to help me with all my problems. I'm too far gone. I've done some terrible things, including putting some lovely toothpaste over my sister's teddies. But hey-ho, that's just my childhood experiences. But jokes aside, I've not been one to really go down the holistic route. Give me a holy hand grenade and that might change. Anyway, I'm not one to be holistic. I don't believe in the whole spiritual battle thing. I do believe there is a battle going on, but I don't think it's spiritual. And I know I'm going to get a bollocking again for this, but that's just honestly how I feel. That's the way I look at it. But I understand that Nick Tenconi does have Christianity at the base of his movement, and I will stand behind him for it. As soon as I get my fucking pack. I'm still waiting for my membership number, for God's sake. Please give me that card, goddammit. Do not make me have to get in contact with you again, Nick. like, please, I can't stand for MP until you give me my fucking card, bro! You're killing me here! Breathe, Matthew, breathe. Ow, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh dear. I mean, we'll all have a laugh together at the end of the day. But that's the thing. I stand by UKIP. They are the party going forward. But I'm worried that we don't have the 5 months to prepare. I'm worried that we've got like 6 to 12 months, if we're lucky. Think about it. Islam, the amount, stroke number 2, the amount of illegal immigrants outnumber the army and police, is the way I look at it. The amount of illegals here, the amount of Islamic scumbags that are here, they all outnumber our armed forces and what have you. What's stopping them from just coming after us? And I'm not saying that to be pessimistic or bring bad news. We've already had enough bad news to last us 5 fucking generations, quite frankly. But we have to be realistic here. I've never been one to be optimistic, and I don't like being pessimistic. I have always been, by heart, a realist. I want to believe the best will happen, but I know if things go down a certain route, then I know think of it like a snowball going down a hill. You know deep down, if it starts off small, you might be able to get it off course and save a town or something. But if that snowball starts picking up and you've got a ball that's basically the size of a small country, good luck stopping that shit. That's what it comes down to. Oh, I hope I don't get arrested for this Lucozade. I swear to God. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Bottom line, I don't think Nigel's the right answer. I think we need UKIP. And I'm worried that in 6 to 12 months, I think something nasty is going to happen. I think it's going to kick off. And I don't want that. None of us want that. None of us want it to go down the route of people are picking up arms and they're going to attack one another. I don't want to see blood on the streets. But realistically speaking, Islam is growing in number at a significant rate, while we have 2-tier justice and 2-tier policing operating in this country. They have now declared that any illegal that's over here gets a discount on their first sentence. Yeah, disgusting, I know. But the white people won't. The indigenous people of Britain won't. And think about Lawrence Fox as well, who was recently charged with assault because he showed a picture of Narinder Kaur's fairy cave, as it were. Well, mind you, I wouldn't really call it a fairy cave, more like a hell cave, but I digress. Jokes aside, she wasn't that fussed when other people were posting it. Was it sensible for Lawrence Fox to do that? No, I don't think it was. I think he did step out of line there, and I think he did something stupid. But that doesn't mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that Lawrence Fox is a wanker. I'm sure he's made a few, though, because of what he's posted. Anyway, he is not a wanker at heart. He is a person who sometimes makes some poor choices, just like I've made poor choices in life. And Narinder Kaur, well, if you're going around showing off your off to everyone, you can't really be surprised if people then take something that's in the public domain and start shipping it out to people so they can relieve themselves. The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And it's very hypocritical for this race-baiting shill to do this. But then what can we expect from what can effectively be called the scum of the earth? quite frankly. Just something for you to think about while I sign off. But Nigel Farage is too busy trying to make promises that he's not going to be able to live up to. And there's one thing you never do. You never make the people a promise you can't keep. And here, Nigel Farage is making a promise he can't UKIP.